Hi everyone, this is Diva from Blood Hunter, and you're listening to the Metal Pit podcast.
Welcome to the Metal Pit Podcast. I'm your host, Blake. This is where we delve into albums and bands that shaped metal. Please visit our website, The Metal Pit, www.themetalpit.org. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at The Metal Pit. And you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com at The Metal Pit 666. And you can email the podcast if you have any suggestions, comments, or whatever. And that is podcast at themetalpit.org. And there's also fairly recently, I made an Instagram for the podcast. So if you're on Instagram, it's at the Metal Pit Podcast. And if you use Spotify, make sure you look for the Metal Pit playlist, which is called Shred. Oh, Metal to Shred Your Soul. Yeah, that's what I called it. So if you're on Spotify, look that up. I'll probably add one of the songs from this album that we're going to do. Now, my guest today is Eric. How you doing, Eric?
Hey, I am outstanding, Blake. How are you today?
Good. And this, of course, Eric's one of the writers in the Metal Pit. And he's also a guitar guy, so he might say some guitar things about hammer-ons and pull-offs as we talk.
Well stated, Blake. I can tell you're warm. I can tell you're warmed up.
That's about all I know about. Well, it's not all I know, but mostly all I know about the guitar. Okay, so we're gonna do a Bruce Dickinson solo album today, and we're gonna do the 1997 Accident of Birth. Now let's see here. For people that, okay, I think everybody knows who Bruce Dickinson is, I hope, if you're listening to this podcast. But of course, it's Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, who left Iron Maiden for a while and did some solo albums. And at that time, Blaze Bayley took over for Iron Maiden. And we could probably talk about this, how some of these Bruce Dickinson albums were better than the Iron Maiden albums, or at least in some people's opinions, like myself.
Yes, I agree too.
But anyway, he did go back, of course, and join Iron Maiden. Of course, he's still in it today, and they're probably on tour, or they're going to be on tour. They're not already. So the album we're going to talk about, like I say, now I don't, because usually I say, when did you first hear Bruce, like the group that we're talking about? But since it's Bruce Dickinson, we've already did Iron Maiden podcast, so we probably already know that. So we don't really need to go into that again, I don't think. Now, I guess I can ask you though, like when Bruce Dickinson released his first solo album, which was, oh, now I forget the name. Oh no, Balls to Picasso. Is that the first one? I can't remember.
Yes.
Sorry, is that okay? Now, as soon as he released it, did you hear that? Did you like the first album, the first few albums, or whatever?
I did. I enjoyed it. It was definitely different than Maiden. But I liked it a lot. Tears of the Dragon was the big, I guess, if you wanted to, I'm doing air quotes, the big hit, I guess, off that album. But yeah, there's Space Cowboy. There's some good tunes on there.
So I'm just trying to find the album now. I can't find it.
It's been so long. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Actually, the first one is Tattooed Millionaire, which was 1990.
There you go.
Then Balls to Picasso was 94, which I think that is the one that has Tears of the Dragon on it. Yes. So the first one is a little even less metal. Like, I guess Tattooed Millionaire is probably the least metal album Bruce Dickinson's ever been on, probably that one. But yeah, I still like some of the songs. Dive, 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 and Tattooed Millionaire was kind of commercial, but that's just the way it was there with that one. And yeah, Balls to Picasso had that song, that Tears of the Dragon, which is a big one, and Shoot All the Clowns.
I like the Sacred Cowboys, and then 1,000 Points of Light. That's a really good one off Balls to Picasso.
But and then Skunk Works, which I don't think I go back and listen to that one too much, so I can't really remember. I'd have to refresh my memory on that one. But I know
that one. I feel.
Can
I interject real quick?
Yep.
Yeah, Skunk Works is one that, like, a buddy of mine, an old lead singer and a band of mine, he liked it quite a bit. To me, it was like Bruce Dickinson almost trying to go kind of, I don't know if I want to say grunge, but it's definitely a different sound I thought he was trying to do kind of a Soundgarden type sound, and it wasn't horrible, but it's not one I've gone back to and listened to much at all. I think like you.
Yeah. And the next two, the Accident of Birth and the Chemical Wedding, were probably
Yes.
getting back to like being metal again, or being more metal again, I guess you would say, and not so commercial, or not that he was that commercial or anything. But anyway, yeah. So we're gonna talk about the 1997 album, Accident of Birth. Do I have anything else to say about that? Oh, yes, I do. Okay, so this is the fourth album, of course, because I just mentioned the first three. And of course, guitarist producer of the album, Roy Z, of course, was the man on this, or I guess he was on the other albums too. And of course, he was also joined by Adrian Smith, of course, of Iron Maiden. For now, I'm not sure if he played on every. I know he helped in writing two of the songs on this album. I'm just not sure if he played on every song. I'm not positive about that, but I know Roy Z, of course, is playing the guitar, so he's definitely on them all. And he also worked with Roy Z on his albums after this one too. Not sure about. Oh, I guess the Mandrake Project. He also is on that one too. I guess it says here.
He is. Mm-hmm.
Read that. Okay, so and I'll mention the cover art for Accidental Birth, which has a clown on it, was done by one Derek Riggs, who of course did all the Iron Maiden covers up till before Fear of the Dark, I think it was. And the guy on the cover is named Edison, after Thomas Edison. I don't.
Okay.
I know the rest of the band, as I said, Adrian Smith, Roy Z, and then we got Eddie Casillas, I think, on bass, and David Ingraham on the drums. Do you want to say anything else about this before we start talking about the songs? Or should we just
No, the only thing is, I suppose it's something I could have looked up, but I was mildly disappointed. I looked in the linear notes in the CD, and they didn't give credit to, like, is Adrian soloing here? Is Roy Z soloing here? And I obviously we're longtime Maiden fans, so we have an idea of what Adrian's doing. But I'm still kind of curious because they do have some similarities in their playing. So that's all I wanted to kind of note. The lyrics were, I'm not 25 anymore, so the lyrics are really tough to read. I looked at quite a few this morning. It's a different shade of blue, and then the lyrics are black. So that was a little bit of a challenge for me, but I do appreciate they included the lyrics because not all artists do that. Of course, these days most people are going digital, but
Yeah. Well, Spotify has the lyrics on most of the stuff, I think, especially this. It does have this. So I was watching it and listening to it on my TV, and the lyrics are going by while I was listening to it. But
nice.
Sometimes they don't have the lyrics, but a lot of the time they do. And that's the one thing I was actually going to ask you, and I probably would have forgot if you didn't bring it up. You're a guitarist. I was going to ask you, can you tell? But you already kind of answered the question. Can you tell when it's Adrian Smith doing a solo compared to Roy Z? It's probably hard to tell because you say they're both similar. Like, if Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen are in the same band, you could probably say, oh, that's Randy and that's Eddie. But it's probably a little harder with groups like this.
It is a little bit more tricky.
Like even Iron Maiden, Dave Murray and Adrian Smith and Yannick Gers, but it's like, okay, well, if you're not seeing them live, it's like, and if they don't tell you who the solo is, I do like it when groups put in their liner notes who's playing the solo, so it's nice to know.
It's a bonus, yeah. With Dave Murray, he's got that kind of silkier sound, and he typically plays a Strat, so I normally can figure out when he's playing and then when Adrian's playing. But yeah, the linear notes are nice though.
Yes. Okay, so we'll get to now. This is a long album here. It's almost an hour long, and we have 13 songs, even though I only have stuff written about 12. But we'll get to that when we get to that point. Okay, so it starts off with the song Freak. So what do you think of Freak?
Freak kicks on with this detuned heavy guitar riff. Man, the drums just kick right in, and it's such a pile driving opener with a very catchy chorus. Really like this song. I would say out of all the Bruce Dickinson solo albums, this is the strongest opener in my humble opinion. It's a great tune.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of where, like, when you put this one on, you do see that he's back to being more metal, and with the first song, like more heavier than he was on his
Hmm.
previous albums.
Yeah.
And so it kind of course, you don't know what's going to come after, even though they probably, I can't remember back to 1997 if it was understood it was going to be more metal or not, or more Iron Maiden-ish kind of sometimes too. But of course,
Hmm.
it's hard to not be Iron Maiden-ish when you're Bruce Dickinson singing, I guess.
That's it.
Now, the second track's not really a track, I guess. It's called Toltec 7 Arrival. It's just a little instrumental. I don't think we need to say anything about that, do we? It's 37 seconds. And
I
then
call
we go
I
to,
call, I wrote down Prelude for Star Children.
yes, okay. So, yeah, Star Children. And what do you think of this one?
Oh yeah, this one has a dark tonality with a fierce groove. It's definitely a heavy tune. It's got some attitude to it. The pitch shifting solo with the artificial harmonics really stand out. I can definitely hear Adrian Smith ripping that one up. Good song. Yeah.
I find this one and the next one, they're both kind of epic, not epic, but like slow burning tracks that kind of, especially the next one, kind of grows louder as it goes along.
Hmm.
This oh, and this song, I read some stuff about, you talking about lyrics. No, I didn't. It's so hard sometimes to read the lyrics and figure out what they are, so I usually try to see if I can't. And I guess that with probably with the re-release of this album, I think there was liner notes in it about what some of the songs mean, so that's where a lot of my talk is going to be, what it said in there. So
Oh,
Star
cool.
Children is supposedly about the first contact with an alien, but the alien is death. I don't know. And it says take his hand and you die or whatever. So I guess if you touch ET, you would die, is what this is saying.
Mm.
If yeah. But anyway, yes, it's a good song. Sorry, I didn't really say anything about that, but yeah, it's a good one. It's a 4-minute track. It's like I said, a slow starter kind of. Taking the Queen is the next one. Taking the Queen is also similar. Starts off a little mellow and moody, and I like the melodic kind of emotional guitar solo. I have something else to say about that later, about the guitar solo thing. But anyway, what do you think of Taking the Queen?
Yeah, it's a moody ballad which displays Dickinson's diverse vocal abilities. I mean, he's got the like his nice, softer voice for the verses, really melodic. And then, as you had mentioned a moment ago, it really builds up to the choruses, where Dickinson really, brings up a little bit more of his metallic, kind of edge to his voice. And the guitars are distorted and they use some pretty cool chords to kind of complement Dickinson and vice versa. It's a good song. I like it. I like the placement of it too. I feel like some bands are sometimes kind of shy away from doing a ballad earlier on in an album, but I think this is a good spot because Freak and Star Children are both pretty heavy songs. So I think that's a good spot actually for a ballad as well.
Yes, and oh, I was the lyrics, I guess, on this song. Like this is a quote from Bruce Dickinson, but it's
Hmm.
a full-on fairy tale. It's supposed to be, the subject of which is a dying monarch whose kingdom will perish with her. The only thing that can keep her alive is remaining a virgin. And she falls in love with a young stud of a prince. So I don't know where that goes in the song. I didn't really get
I,
that too.
I read the lyrics. I read the lyrics, and it sounded like something from like the I don't know if you're familiar with the fantasy series Aragon, but it sounds like it could be something out of that, or like I don't know, choose your Netflix or Max fantasy specials. But it sounds like something from I guess from yesteryear lyrically. But
Mhm. I think
good,
I
good,
read
yeah,
somebody else saying stuff about that too, something
yeah,
like that anyway, where some
yeah.
of his lyrics look like they're inspired from a TV show or a book series or whatever.
Mm.
Okay, then we go to Dark Side of Aquarius. He doesn't pick the easiest song titles, does he? Anyway, what do you think of this song?
This is one of my top tracks on accident. The song features some steady rhythm guitar work sprinkled in with harmonies. Um, what a chorus. Bruce really shines on the chorus on this tune. I like the it's unexpected. I like how they slow things down with this bridge, and he sings from the starlit sky, and then I like the outro riff, and again, this is pretty interesting for like somebody doing like a solo album. Bruce, you can tell he's not a super controlled freak because the end of the song they have this like different riff, and it's definitely, it has a catchiness to it. It has an edge too, and the vocals really complement that, the riff at the end. And this is definitely one of my very favorite songs. Actually, that Dickinson's recorded with his solo albums. With his solo career. What do you think about it, Blake?
Well, I think those riffs, I think you would kind of call them galloping riffs, I think. And as I listened to it today, that's what I wrote down.
He does kind of close with the gallops. Yep, you're right.
Which of course is like your Maiden thing. But whenever I talk about some other band, not Maiden, doing galloping, I say it's not that they created it, I guess, but it's there in some of their songs. And I guess this song is about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And I like all the solos are good, I guess, but they stood out to me on this one. I like the solos on this. The drummer kind of stands out a little more on this song than he does some other songs with some of his parts. So, and it's almost a 7-minute song, and I always love those longer songs. So yes, it's a good one. And then the next song, Road to Hell. I'll let you talk first. Well, I'll talk something first. Every time, I don't think there's a song with the word hell in it that I don't like. It just seems like everybody that makes a song with hell in it, it's good. I don't know. So this is kind of like Highway to Hell, but instead it's called Road to Hell. I don't know if that's why it's called that or not, but what do you think of Road to Hell?
So this is it's a straight ahead rocker. The chorus wouldn't be out of place on an Iron Maiden album. There's a good chance that Bruce and Adrian took the name for their album, Brave New World, from the second verse. If you look back in linear notes there. Speaking of Adrian, what a searing guitar solo with some great speed picking and vibrato. And that's about it for me on Road to Hell. Good tune. It's solid.
I like after the first verse where they have that, I'm going to say it's a flanger they're using. Am I right in that part? Okay.
Nice job. Okay. It's close, like flanger and phaser are very similar, but it does sound more like a flange.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, because that's exactly what I have, flanger / phaser, because I wasn't sure which one it was.
I think you've been listening. You've been listening to me and taking notes.
Well, I used to have a flanger. I have a guitar, a couple of guitars. I used to have one, and so I would play around with it. But I never got good enough to really have all this technical talk. So that's about as technical. Hammer offs and pull offs and flanger and distortion is about all I can say. Anyway, yeah, and of course Adrian Smith helped write this song. One of the 2 songs he helped write, so that's maybe why it could be on an album. And let's see, do I know what this song is about? Bruce says the song wonders what went through Jesus' head while he was being crucified. Was he thinking about mom and dad? What did he say to the guys on the crosses next door? I don't know what, I think he must mean that are standing there. I don't know, whatever, but yes, this is a song because of course these guys, Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith, they wrote Flight of Icarus, 2 Minutes to Midnight. So yes, this easily could have fit on like Peace of Mind or 2 Minutes, or on Power Slave, I meant to say. So yes, that's probably my favorite song on the album, or one of my 2 favorites on the album anyway. And I think I can't remember what podcast episode it was, but I think whoever it was I did it with, we did our top 10 songs with the word hell in it was our list. And I think that made my list. It's this song.
All right.
Because there's a lot of songs with the word hell in it. Anyway, then we go to Man of Sorrows. So what do you think of this one?
So here's another ballad. Roy Z plays piano on this track. It's a decent song. No, I didn't really write much else.
Okay, yeah, I don't have much written about it either. I'm not a ballad guy, as most people say, but it's still good, and he's got his operatic kind of singing in there, and it shows Bruce's range for that kind of thing. And
agreed.
Yeah. Then we go to the title track, Accident of Birth, which here I'll say this first, is about a family from hell, except they're in hell. And one of them accidentally been born and they want him back and he doesn't want to go. Okay, strange. Because actually, I think Bruce, I read somewhere where Bruce's mom told him that he was an accidental birth.
Oh, wow.
That she actually tried to have an abortion and it didn't work or something like this. This is what I read. I'm not sure
Oh,
where I
wow.
read it now because I read so much things. So he was an accidental birth. But anyway, so that's too bad, but I don't think it really affected him. So anyway, what do you think of the song?
Accident of birth. Now we're talking. And the drum strikes along with the driving palm unit guitar begins our journey. This is one of Bruce's most dramatic and complete songs. This track is littered with tasty guitar harmonies throughout. This is another one of the strongest tracks, in my opinion. Great, great tune.
I love I think his vocals are a little, especially at the start anyway, they're more like venomous or something, like he's trying to be more evil or something like that in his voice or whatever at the start of this song, especially. So I really like that one. And yes, and that's wait, is that I didn't write that down. I must have another favorite song. I guess I do like that one though. And then we get another heavy one with the magician, which I'm gonna assume is about a magician. So what do you think of this one?
This is a driving song. While not a standout, the chorus is memorable. The lead guitar work with the phaser effect is cool. So there we go with the effects terminology.
I like the solos on this one, and he has his oh singing in it near the end there, like his
I was gonna write that down. I like that. That's a cool way to kind of close out the song. It's very Bruce Dickinson-esque, right?
Yeah, and Steve Harris is probably mad when he heard that. Anyway, I don't know.
You might be onto something.
I think I read that somewhere too. But actually, the song "The Magician" is also actually based on Aleister Crowley, I guess, but more tongue in cheek. And they even included a line about kicking sand in Satan's face. Okay. Then we go to, this song is about our website, I guess. This song is called Welcome to the Pit. So what do you think of this song?
Well, too bad the royalties would cost too much money. Otherwise, that could actually be the theme song, right? So this is a song that really packs a punch. The verses are heavy, while the choruses are melodic, and there's a well-timed pedal tone behind Bruce. It sounds really nice. I'm about 99.9% sure that is Adrian Smith with the pedal tones. The chord selections by Smith and Roy Z really enhance the song. This is definitely a strong tune.
This is the other one that Adrian did help write, so I guess that's probably why. And apparently, this song is about dark and wicked sex. I guess that's what it said in the liner notes of the thing. But then I read where somebody was saying, I don't agree with that. But I'm thinking, well, if they say that's what it's about, that must be what it's about. I don't know. I understand that one, but and it does have the lyric. I don't know why I made a note of this lyric. It says, "Cover your lips with the wicked tongue of silence." Not sure what that has to do with sex, but anyway, that's what it was said. But yes, it's a good tune, and my website for a few years was just called The Pit, so maybe I can.
I remember that.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I can sue. Okay, the next song. Wait, what's the next song for you? Is it still Omega?
Ghost of Cain.
Okay. Because
I squeezed it on my notebook.
Okay, you talk about the Ghost of Cain because I have nothing about it because it wasn't on the release I listened to.
I swear the twin harmonies sound like Queen Strike. Ghost of Cain is one of the more melodic selections. The pre-chorus creates tension while aptly released during the chorus. And that's really all I've got for the song. I like it quite a bit, and I've got to admit, I like it how Spotify has it better than the band selection of its placement on the album. I think at the end, actually, it's a stronger finish than closing with a ballad. No.
Yeah, on Spotify, I think, is there a bunch of demos or something on the extra disc?
so it's strange how it's set up, because it has the full album minus Ghost of Cain. It jumps right to Omega, which you noted earlier. But then on
Mhm.
disc 2, it starts off with Ghost of Cain remastered. Nothing about it changed. And then it
Yeah.
goes into a series of demos. It has
Yeah.
Accident of
Okay.
Birth and then many of
Okay.
the other tracks, demo versions. Yeah.
Okay. And it does, and Adrian did help write this song too. So I guess he actually helped write 3 songs on the album. It's just that I didn't think it was on the original album because I didn't go get my CD out to look at it. I just went by what I was seeing on the internet. So we're gonna go to, where are we? We're at track, well, the second last track. Then Omega. What do you think of Omega?
This one, it's a melancholy song that has quite a crescendo. The vocals are outstanding. The middle section with the saturated guitars and blistering solos by both Roy Z and Smith are examples of how overlooked, Smith and Roy Z are. I really don't, taking Adrian Smith for a moment. I've talked to other guitarists and just other musicians, and if for whatever reason, when people talk about the skill in Iron Maiden, it's Steve Harris, who is very gifted and writes the majority of their music, or it's Bruce Dickinson. They, for whatever reason, Nico gets left out, and obviously the guitar players, well, they're pretty good rhythm guitarists, but no, their lead playing it's excellent, and it fits the music, and that's really important, and that's what Smith and Roy Z do here on Omega. Just some absolutely searing guitar solos. This actually, I didn't write this down, but when I first got the album, this was actually my favorite song, and it's still one of my favorite songs on the album. It's like
Um,
this one, it feels like, I meant to look at the time of the song. Maybe you have it in front of you, Blake. But this
yeah,
song
it's
feels like an epic.
yeah, it's
Okay.
6.5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of borders on an epic, I guess, whatever people
Yeah.
define. But it has that feel of, because it starts slow, builds into something more, kind of metamorphoses into something that like a double time, and they really rock it out. Great, yeah. I mean, this is an exceptional song.
Well, as I was listening to it, I refreshing my memory again, listening to it because it's been a while, I guess, to listen to this album.
Hmm.
Holy, anyway. Uh, but yeah, the first guitar solo is like the song's a ballad, and then the first guitar solo continues like a ballad, like it's a slow melodic guitar
Bluesy,
solo. And
Hmm.
I thought I like that, where it's not just always okay, let's play as fast as you can, but of course then the next
Hmm.
solo was fast. but but still, it was a good transition to go from the slow one, and then to a ripping solo, as they're both great, and it was just yeah, I know, of course, an Omega is about the end of the world. Even though one person thought it was about the end of the sunshine or something when I read it, because it says something about the sun's dying out or something, but I think the real song is about the end of the world. And then we go to the last song, which you could kind of say this is also a ballad, couldn't you? I think, but anyway, it's called Arc, or
Yeah.
mostly ballad,
Hmm.
Arc of
Hmm.
Space. What do you think of that one?
Yeah. So it's a respectable ballad. Personally, I'd rather have one more heavy song. I mean, it could be on the kind of the darker sludgy side. It could be a melodic rock song. I do like the song. I just wish they would have something with a little bit more edge. But even still, Dickinson really carries the song with his emotive delivery, and the music is well written. Yeah, it's a good tune, and it's funny. I looked back just real quickly at the Chemical Wedding, and yeah, I feel like, I mean, both albums are stellar, but yeah, this album flows very well. Um, that's one thing. I'm gonna kind of repeat myself when we get to our top 10, but it's an album that flows from beginning to end. It really does. You can tell the band, they took their time, and while I have my little grievance about the last track, still keep it on the album, but maybe finish it out with Ghost of Cain like Spotify did, or I don't know if Welcome to the Pit could be a closer, but I'd be up for checking it out. What
I'm
do you think,
thinking,
Blake?
well, I'm thinking maybe like I like the song, and the acoustic guitar playing is good at the start, and then
Mm.
you got some cello and violin in there too. So I'm kind of thinking
Yeah,
maybe that's
it's
why
very
they
musical.
put it at the end, because they got, not that it should matter, but they got cello, a guest person doing cello and violin.
Hmm.
So they're thinking, let's throw this at the end. So if anybody, I don't know, hates the cello and violin, then they can just not listen to the last song or something like that. So maybe they could have changed the song before it, like finish with this song, but don't have another slow one right before it. And maybe it would have been like, maybe put Road to Hell right before the last one or something. Then it might have not have been so like, oh, another slow song or whatever. But anyway, I still like the song and the album,
Hmm.
like you just said. So what would you rate it if
Yeah.
you gave it at a 10?
I'm giving it, you know what? And I don't want to linger too long on this, but I'm actually honestly thinking about it. If they would have closed the album with Omega, I think that would have been the perfect ending. I'm just thinking about how that song just goes through the changes. It's dynamic. It has some nice mellow parts and it gets heavy. That'd be the great way to finish the album. I give this album a strong 9 out of 10. I
Oh,
love this album. This album to me, this I'm thinking about Maiden releases in the '90s, and I've got to say this album is head and shoulders above anything Maiden did for me in the '90s. What
mm-hmm.
did you think about it, Blake?
Well, if I was gonna rate it, I have 8.5 is what I got. And I was
Okay.
just gonna say something like it is like almost an hour long, and there's 13 songs on it, if I had the right album with me, or 12 or 13 songs. And like if you compare it to something like The Number of the Beast, it only had 8 songs on it, and it's only 40 minutes, and I would give that one a 10, or Peace of Mind wasn't much longer. And even
Sure.
Power Slave, I don't think
Pa-
is much longer either, I don't think.
yeah, Power Slave. All three of those that you just mentioned, in my humble opinion, those are tens. No
Yes.
hesitation.
But like,
Yeah.
when you only have 45 minutes, you can have all great songs. And even though there's not necessarily any song on here I hate, but there is
Mhm.
songs like, I don't want to listen to this ballad right now or whatever. I'm going to skip this one. So it's hard to get, a 10 out of 10 anymore if you're going to make albums that are an hour long.
Yeah, that's a fair
Because
statement.
like just like people hate Metallica because they make such long albums. There's still some good songs on it, and if they would have only put 6 songs on it, then maybe people would like the album more. But since they add these other songs, then people are like, oh, well, they got this crappy song on, or they got this crappy song, whatever. So then they hate the whole album, even though if they would have just stopped at 40 minutes, they might have loved it if they would have picked the right song, that is. But anyway, so yes, I would give it 8.5. Now we usually talk about seeing them live. I don't suppose you ever saw Bruce Dickinson solo live, did you? By himself?
Oh
I mean?
boy, I would have loved to have. I don't know how much he toured, honestly. I guess you'd have to talk to one of the other writers, maybe Billy or somebody. But I never had a chance to catch him. Maiden was even kind of. I know it has to do with the booking, but yeah, there was even a time where Maiden wouldn't come to Virginia. It was kind of weird. I'd have to go up to Columbia, Maryland, which is a pretty good hike. But I went there by myself one time actually to catch Maiden up in Columbia, and it was worthwhile. But I never did have the chance to see him solo. I would have liked to have. How about you, Blake? Did you ever see him live by chance?
No, I'm not sure how much he took. Like, because I'm looking on the set list website for the amount of songs that he's played live by himself.
Hmm.
That is,
Hmm.
and Tears of the Dragon is the highest at
Sure.
187. And I'm assuming he
Okay.
would have played that. Well, it was the second album, but so I assumed he would have played it at every show after the second album was released. But I just don't
Mm.
know how much they toured, because that's not a lot. 187 dates. It's not a lot when you think of Iron Maiden, when sometimes they
Yeah.
would do that in one year or
Yeah,
even
and
more
you know
than
what?
that
One
in a year.
one thing that I just thought about too is I wonder if the demand was more over, obviously in England or in Europe, because there are a lot of staunch metal fans over there. So I wonder if
Uh,
most of the tour dates were over there because I remember I looked around to see if he was coming during the accident of birth and definitely Chemical Wedding, and I didn't see any dates around here. Not even nowhere remotely close by.
yeah. I don't remember even hearing, oh, Bruce Dickinson's playing in Toronto or not. I'm not sure. It might have happened, but
Mhm.
I don't recall it anyway. So maybe he never did. Maybe he did just play in Europe or something like that, possibly. But anyway, just one note: the song he's played the most from this album live was "Accident of Birth." followed closely. Oh, and Dark Side of Aquarius and Road to Hell were the next two after
Okay.
that. This Tattooed Millionaire he's played the second most, but probably because that was on the first album. But anyway, yeah, so I never seen Bruce Dickinson. Of course, if you did see Bruce Dickinson solo, you'd be like, play a Maiden song, which he did a few times. But anyway, okay, where's my notes? I guess that's it about the album. And yeah, I like Chemical Wedding too. I didn't really get the chance to really listen to it again. I did quickly today after I listened to Accident of Birth and made my notes. I think from that, I would say I like Accident of Birth a little better than Chemical Wedding. But again, Chemical Wedding is like an hour and 11 minutes long. So
Oh, I didn't realize it was that long. Okay.
There's a lot to take in and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so we're gonna finish with since this album came out in 1997, we're gonna finish with our top 10 albums from 1997. And I guess I'll let you go first, I guess.
All right. Well, this is kind of hard, actually. I mean, it wasn't too hard for me, but I'm looking at my honorable mentions if we're allowed to do those. I've got Porcupine Tree, Coma Divine, which is a double live album. It's an excellent album by the band. I've got G3 live in concert. You did say that I could put it in my top 10. I'm going to just keep it simple, but Satriani, Vai, and Eric Johnson, all more than capable guitar players. Great album. I actually have the CD in my car, I confess. And then the other one, I don't know if anybody at the Metal Pit listens to these guys. I actually haven't checked out the new album, what's been out for a while, but Rammstein, Session. I'm going to do my best. I don't take German, but I do like, I don't think the album's it's dated itself a little bit, but I do like the combination of the heavy guitars and some of the electronics. I do like how some of that works. So starting at number 10, I've got Megadeth, Cryptic Writings. You have She-Wolf, you have FFF. There are a few tracks on there. Trust actually gets some decent radio play, believe it or not. Number 9, this one's this one, I don't think anybody else is going to pick this one. Silverchair. These guys were pretty big here in the States. They're kind of, I would describe them as post-grunge. But Freak Show's got some really heavy stuff. No Association's a standout track. Number 8, I know you like this one, Blake. This could be on your list. Overkill, From the Underground and Below. Those guys just keep churning out the albums. It's hard to keep up with them. Solid album. Wish there were some guitar solos on there, but there are some great riffs, and Blitzer sounds awesome. Number 7, this is an EP. There are only 5 tracks, but it's Lacuna Coil. I was really huge into this Italian band in the early 2000s. Christina Scabbia sounds so amazing. Number 6, another one, I guess, kind of unexpected, but these guys just released Metallica Volume 2, Apocalyptica, Inquisition Symphony. I've encouraged people over the years not only to listen to their Metallica covers, they do cover, I'm drawing a blank right now, but they cover they cover Slayer, they cover other bands too, but their original music is phenomenal. It's four cellists from Finland. Now it's down to 3, but that's a phenomenal release. That's their second release, by the way. Inquisition Symphony. Number 5, I have The Gathering, like Lacuna Coil, a female-led band. Nighttime Birds is an excellent release. They're a little bit tough to classify, but melodic, goth, heavy at times, alternative, hard rock, great release. Dream Theater, number 4, you'd think with myself, Dream Theater would be all the way at the top. Falling into Infinity, there's some good tracks. They tried to go semi-commercial. I read where Mike Portnoy almost quit the band because of the direction that the band took on this album. But Trail of Tears is such a phenomenal song on this album. New Millennium, there's some good tracks on here. Number 3, Bruce Dickinson, Accident of Birth. This album's good enough to be number one, to be honest with you. We talked about this one, I suppose, ad nauseum. I don't have anything to add. Number two and number one were very difficult for me. These are both considered progressive metal bands. I went with Symphony X Divine Wings of Tragedy. I implore you for us to be able to do a Symphony X podcast at some later date. But the Divine Wings of Tragedy is a phenomenal album. You know, I don't actually know if it's a concept album or not, but the last track, the title track, breaks 20 minutes, and it is a piece of art. Symphony X, skill-wise, they are on the level of Dream Theater. There's some great tunes on here. Medusa, Pharaoh. I mean, the whole album's great. But I had to give the nod. I was listening to Fate's Warning yesterday on a walk. And while Pleasant Shade of Grey doesn't have the technical prowess that Symphony X's Divine Wings of Tragedy has, this album is one of the most, I want to say coherent. It's one of the most, it flows so seamlessly. I think it flows like something like Dark Side of the Moon, you know, fill in the blank. Dream Theater, Scenes from Memory. It's a great album. Ray Alder's one of my top 5 vocalists of all time. The album is so well written. I really couldn't pick a favorite. It's actually just one long song, just broken into separate parts. Mm-hmm. But Kevin Moore actually appears on as a track. I want to say number 8. He plays the piano with this just very fast, but I mean, it's dynamic too. It's great, but the whole album is awesome. Great guitar work by Matthews. Love the album, man. It's just awesome from beginning to end. I don't know if I could say it's my very favorite Fate's Warning, but they're one of my favorite bands. And I'm going to give the nod to A Pleasant Shade of Grey. Yeah, top 10 was kind of difficult to do, I gotta say, but there are some phenomenal albums, in my opinion, of course, in this top 10. Blake, what about yourself? How'd your top 10 shake out?
Okay. Well, I'll mention, I mentioned this to you before we started off here, but I always have, because I was really big into the music, of course, late 70s and 80s. I could, if we had to do a top 10 list from any of those years, I can do it probably without even looking it up almost sometimes.
Impressive.
But I could have 10 or 20 albums there. But in the 90s, I go back and look at all the albums. I'm thinking, geez, I barely even bought 10 albums that year or whatever. So it's a little harder for me to do. Now, I am surprised of one album you didn't have on your list that came out in 1987. And that, of course, and this isn't on my list either, but is, of course, Pat Boone, because he had his album called In a Metal Mood, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know if anybody knows who Pat Boone is. He's like a jazz singer. So he released a covers album of heavy metal songs of him singing heavy metal songs. And he does Holy Diver, Crazy Train, We Got Anything Coming, and some others. So if you want to check that out, go check that out. But I was sure that was going to be your number one. Anyway, and you mentioned G3. Yes, there was a few live albums that year. Pantera had one, Exodus had one, Led Zeppelin had their BBC Sessions release. So I could have included all those in here too, actually, with G3 also. And I think there's one other one that I missed. And okay, so I'll start with my 10. And of course, 10 is, okay, I hope I'm even saying the name of this group right. Therian, I think they're called. I'm not sure. Maybe it's called Tarian. I'm sorry, but they're from Sweden, but it was a symphonic.
I think it's Therian, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Therian?
Okay,
I believe.
Way wrong then.
Okay. I believe.
Anyway, it's, if you say it like it's written, it looks like Therian. But anyway, and I'm not even gonna. Their album is, there's 2 words in front of it. I'm not even gonna try to say what they are, but it's Lucid Dreaming is at the end of it. There's a couple covers on this one. There's some songs left over from another album, but I really liked this at the time. And there's a cover of Children of the Damned by Iron Maiden on that one. So if you haven't heard it, you might want to check that one out. And my number 9 is my only non-heavy metal album on this list, and hopefully doesn't disappoint too many people. It's not Pat Boone, but it's The Offspring with Ixnay on the Ombre. As I like that album. I actually listened to it the other day again. I don't mind some of those older Offspring ones. They're more punkish than pop, like they got into later. But the word heavy metal is actually mentioned on this album because they have a little guest appearance from Larry Bud Melman, who used to be on the old Dave Letterman show, talk show, and he said, "You guys should play heavy metal." Whatever. So I just thought it was kind of funny. Anyway, so that's my number 9. Number 8, I got Machine Head with The More Things Change, which is their second studio album. Number 7, I got a Canadian band in here with Anvil, and Absolutely No Alternative is the name of the album. And this, of course, features their big hit, Show Me Your Tits. So if you haven't heard that song, you better check it out. And I will just say quickly, the reason for that song is not just because of what it says, but because in Canada back in 1997, they made a law. Women were complaining that they couldn't be on the beach topless. So they made a law in Ontario, especially the province of Ontario, where they could be topless on the beach. And that was why they wrote this song. So there you go. It wasn't just them wanting to see, whatever. So it's a political song, whatever. Okay, number 6, I have Rammstein. And I'm not, you already said the album title, so that's good that I don't have to say it because I don't know how to say it. And but this, of course, this album is all German, except the version I have has Du hast twice, once in English and once in German. But the rest of the album is all German. Of course, I can't understand anything, but yes, it's just good industrial metal. I like a lot of Rammstein albums. They're just, it's easy, it's ministry like, and it's just heavy and whatever, and they have some wacky videos too. And I guess their concerts are pretty wacky too. I've never been to one live, but they're really a show.
They like fire a lot.
Yes, they do. And sex stuff, I think, too, is going on there. Okay, number 5, I got Sabotage with The Wake of Magellan, their 10th studio album.
How did I miss that? See, I you know what? I complimented Google earlier. That would have easily been in my top 10. So yeah, I totally missed it. Carry on, Blake.
I was surprised you didn't have that one.
Okay.
And our number 4 and number 3 are the same, actually. 4, I got Dream Theater, Falling into Infinity. And number 3 is Dickinson's Accident of Birth, which you just talked about. And my number 2 is Overkill, the one that you mentioned, From the Underground and Below. It's actually my favorite Overkill album, even though I do like Guitar Heroes too. But I love that album, the songs, the riffs, like you mentioned. But my album of the year for 1997, which shouldn't surprise some people if you would have seen this name on the list, is by the group Faith No More.
Faith No More.
And their album called Album of the Year. Because that's what it's called. So it had to be the album of the year. I don't know how you missed that. It's already called that, so we already knew what it is. But anyway, yeah, I love Faith No More, and that's their 6th studio album. And yes, as soon as I remembered that came out that year, I knew, because I still listen to that regularly, all of them.
Yeah, I thought of you. I thought of you when I saw that. Yeah, I thought of you when I saw that on Google. I was like, oh, Blake's going to have it on his list. I didn't realize it'd be one, but I thought of you. I was like, oh, Blake's big on Faith No More. I'm okay with him, but I was like, I remember Blake's big on him. Hey, can I say one thing? Yeah. Can I say one thing real quick? Sorry, man. So I would actually bump, you know what? This is kind of hard. I would actually bump Wake of Magellan actually to 4 where DT is, and bump DT to 5. But okay, that's all. That's my audible for the day. Maybe I only get one of those for a year.
But then your number 10 would be gone.
Yeah, it's okay.
But anyway, one thing I was going to mention, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about the last album, the Dickinson album, was Adrian Smith. Did you ever listen to Adrian Smith's album, Smith/Kotzen? I'm not sure how to say it, but do you know what I'm talking about at all?
Is it with Richie Kotzen? That one, yes. I didn't believe they, I wasn't aware of that album. Do you know what year that came out? It
came out in 2021.
Shoot. Okay. I'm going to have to go look it up. How about you?
And I guess check it out. what's it called? That's what it's called. Smith and Coates
Smith and
whatever.
Cotton. Okay.
But I think I listened to it a few times. It's more kind of like 70s kind of style, actually, which
Okay.
is good for me, I guess, since I'm that old. But yeah, I didn't mind it and stuff. But yeah, they just made one album together, and I was just wondering if you ever heard it, so you should probably go check it out.
I have it pulled up. Thanks, man. I'm gonna go ahead and check it out. Yep, I got it right here. Taking My Chances, Scars, Solar Fire. Cool.
Yes, he's done a lot of stuff, actually. I mean, of course,
Yeah,
Iron
didn't he?
Maiden, and he had his group before called Urchin.
Yeah, didn't he do some kind of like it's more melodic and more like I can't think. Yeah, Urchin.
Well,
I think it's kind of like Urchin, but didn't he do something several years back where it was more
yes,
kind of pop? It was a little more pop oriented, and he was the lead singer. I just can't think of the name of
I'm thinking it's
the
Psycho
band.
Motel, even though I don't think I remember ever listening to it. But I think you're talking
Okay.
Psycho Motel. That was 95 and 97. They had two albums. And he had
Okay.
some
Yeah,
album
that
under
could
the
be it.
name ASAP in 1989, but I don't know what that is either.
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
of course, with Bruce, and then he's done some guest appearances, I guess. Did a guest appearance for Michael Kiske. Did he have he must have had a solo album, and maybe I didn't even know that. One of the Halloween
Oh,
songs.
Halloween. Yeah, one of the Halloween singers. Yeah, cool. Got to look that
And
one
of
up
course,
too
he
now.
appeared on Hearing Aid song for
Oh yeah, We're
the
Stars.
yes, with Dio there as the main guy that got him in there. Anyway, so I guess that's it. Anything to add about Bruce Dickinson's album or his new album? I only listened to it once. I think you said you only listened to it once too. I didn't really give it a really good listen, so I can't really comment on whether the new.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to bring it up. I've only listened to it, to be fair. I've only listened to it twice. I thought it was decent. I do want to listen to it more. I've got about a 12 album rotation going on Spotify right now, so I'll probably listen to it a little bit more in maybe August or so. But it didn't. I got to say, it didn't reach out and grab me like Accident at Birth and Chemical Wedding, and even Tyranny of Souls. I think is a really solid album too. Like it didn't hit me like those three did. Yeah, the Cemetery song, like the video to me is a little bit kind of hokey, and maybe he's having fun with it. But yeah, I got to give it a few more spins. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I haven't really given much of a listen to really comment honestly on it. So that's it. So make sure, I'm sure everybody's probably already knew Bruce Dickinson had a solo career, and of course it's back in Iron Maiden, even though, like we said, some of those albums are better than some of the Iron Maiden albums because they're probably a little more fresher when you have a new guy in there like Roy Z and stuff like that. But okay, thanks Eric for joining me on here.
Oh, thank you, Blake. I had an absolute blast.
We've done like 5. I think I've done 5 Iron Maiden, or no, I think it's 6 Iron Maiden episodes. No, maybe it's 7. No, it's 6. 6 Iron Maiden episodes, and now we've done a Bruce Dickinson one too. So we better get off Iron Maiden.
well, this one, remember, you can, so listeners out there, you can blame me because I bugged Blake a little bit about doing it. It was, I was interested in King Diamond. I still am interested in Bruce Dickinson. I was like, man, let's do a Bruce solo album. Let's do a Bruce solo album. Okay, well, Eric, yeah, I'm going to throw you a bone.
Yes. Well, it's definitely worth doing for sure. Okay,
yeah,
now and remember, visit us at the Metal Pit website, www.themetalpit.org, and like I say, find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and follow the podcast on Instagram too. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Later.